words to bind our planet. And our first reader is Amy Leigh Cutler. Amy Leigh is the author of Orange Juice and Rooftops and a few chapbooks. Some of her recent work can be found on inearnestmagazine.com, where she served as artist in residence in 2013. Look for her in Jonathan Weisskopf's For Some Time Now and Worcester Collective's Graphic, and The Understanding Between Foxes and Light, an anthology by Great Weather for Media. She tours, facilitates workshops, and is a teaching assistant and MFA candidate in poetry at the New School. She lives in Manhattan and loves to wander up the Hudson River because she believes the city lights and the fresh mountain air can live I'm sorry, I was trying to be good at that last one. City lights and fresh mountain air can live happily ever after. Amy Leigh Cutler.
Thanks so much for having me and for hosting this. This is really surreal to be reading in near Times Square at all. It's such a different vibe. I'm setting a little timer for myself so that I'll know when I have just a couple minutes left. I'm going to do a couple of poems that are a little bit older, and then I'll come and read some new stuff. Nanny came for a visit to teach me how to make meatballs. My mom wanted me to learn from her because I am the family legend, the key to our history, mapped out in food and fragmented memory. The legacy of our lineage, it's all up here. So Mom says to me, you've got to learn to make Nanny's meatballs and write out a recipe, even though I'm 23 and don't eat meat. We're in the kitchen, Nanny and I. She's cracking eggs, sending me outside for parsley and sending me back outside because that wasn't parsley. She takes a fistful from me in her wrinkled hands, tears the green flowered herbs with a crunch and says, I don't know where you get it from, Amy. Her fingers unfold as parsley falls into the meatball bowl. Get what from, Nan? I thought that was parsley. She shakes her head, pushes the bowl away. The poetry, the art, you're like a gypsy, never gonna settle down for no one. She reaches for the garlic, crushes clove after clove with flat back of carving knife, cuts it up fine. That's a lot of garlic, Nanny. How many cloves? Well, you certainly didn't get it from me. Not your father, and God knows you didn't get it from Charlie. Charlie is my grandfather. Him and Nanny have lived in the same house without speaking since I can remember. God knows you didn't get it from Charlie, she repeated. It's like you're a gypsy or something, always in Kathmandu or Zanzibar, never gonna get a job, no insurance, God forbid something happened to you. I don't know how you do it, Aim, not me. Oh no, I could never. I just like to mind my business. But you, it's good, you're young. She was squishing the meatballs between her fingers now, eyebrow raised in that way of hers. Beef, egg, parsley, garlic. I watched her all the while knowing her fist was the most accurate measurement of herb. She was making enough for whoever came hungry. I don't remember a recipe for the meatballs. She made them without watching what she was doing, wouldn't answer any of my questions of how much of this or that. Instead, she told me how her mother was Miss Brooklyn, married on Ebbets Field, given away by the mayor. She was a real lady, very simple though, minded a business. Afterwards, she fried the meatballs to get rid of the fat and plopped them into sauce she made from tomatoes Charlie had picked that morning. Over dinner, my mom asked where I'd written down a recipe. I nudged Nanny and we both rolled our eyes in her direction. Because the key to our history, the legacy of our lineage, it's all up here. Next one I'll do for you is a friend of mine challenged me to write a poem about nothing or about something small. She said, sometimes you write poems about these big things and people are moved, but could you move someone if you were just talking about something insignificant? And I said, I don't know, I'll try. Ode to Fingernail. Crescent paper moon full of touch and peel. You are warrior of tiny thing, protector of tender pink with windowed shield fervently rooted in front. I cannot help but sing your praise in awe of all the things you carry. Sand from Coney Island beach, rind from orange freshly peeled, ink from pen forever held, and smoke from sometimes cigarette. Some would call you vulgar for keeping invisible remnants of the one you love tucked into valley between fleshly mountain and hard city wall, but I call you memory. You who hold on as soon as you touch and let go at the first hot rain of shower, of wash. You are black in summer. From using your shield as a spade to garden the tomatoes, you are beautiful in the dark grow that you reach for. You are white in summer, as blanched whalebone from saltwater love of Atlantic crashing into you, hungry to taste everything you've held on to until now. You are now, sometimes lacquered with the dark paint of desire, sometimes resting between teeth, just a reminder of all you keep safe, of all you hold on to. I cannot help but sing your crescent paper moonshine praise, in awe of everything you let go of when it rains. This one's for a friend of mine who's a paramedic. For John, whose lungs are gorgeous, slick with pink and fluttering. How close to the heart. This is probably the most appropriate place that I will ever read this poem. My New York. My New York is hold on tight, let's light this night on fire, and watch the fireworks spark and fall as the Brooklyn Bridge and the Williamsburg Bridge and the Manhattan Bridge. They stay lit up until sunrise, and Chinatown is the wick of it, lit up and flickering, protons and neutrons, everything gathered together, this friction-making heat. Sparked by a discarded cigarette, we smoke to take a break when the lines are too long or our brains are overheating. Smoke to let some steam off. Overloaded with colors, sounds, and smells, we eat until overfull and then smoke to make room for more. In New York, we always want more, and it's always too much. My New York sizzles in summer, the pavement melts and moves, makes murky mirages out of Mercer Street. But in winter, it's brick out here, and the lights are as real as the big candy apple that we all bite right into. These traps that we throw ourselves into in the name of love, in the name of freedom, are candy-coated and soft in the middle. Soft in the middle, we harden over, crystallize under candied hopes. A clear red prison is created that we press against in vain. Inescapable, my New York comes with me when I leave. My sneakers and my brain, just details on my high tops, and the common sense to find my way around without moving so slow. Not a cold people, we are warm, from exhaust pipes and steam from busy city kitchen back doors, and coffee. My New York explodes. It falls into bridges and mercury pavement that we walk across with the speed of this city on the bright candy shell of this big apple. 1987. 1. 11 years after my country declared its independence, God gathered my dreams from the ocean, felled stars glowing like they were still alive. He kept them in a net and wrote my name on it. 2. 100 years later, Paris began to build the Eiffel Tower in preparation of my arrival, not knowing I would wait a century and 2 decades to see it. 3. In 1984, 3 years before I was born, animals double spoke a dystopia I could only read about. The net that held my hopes strained at the weight of its treasures. That year started on a Sunday. It was a leap year. I was already choosing my parts. This one is Sonnet 17 after Pablo Neruda. I do not wait as if you were desert or the moon, or mud thickened with the third day's rain. I move as a child, impatient to stand, clutching the hem of your coat, pulling myself toward the door. I move toward you in secret, carrying in my pocket the light of your words, folded and refolded, edged dark from my tracings. You have told me all I need to know. I am awake, and you are walking toward me across the floor. I am asleep, and you are holding me while the tide goes out. I move toward you because what else can I do than this? Wash my face in the morning, spend what little I have on love, and later, when I am wondering if you've forgotten me, listen for your voice at the door.
It's pretty.
Leaving the country for the first time. In Paris, dumb as a puppet, I watched the world go by. Marietta. There were flights coming into JFK on New Year's Eve from Paris and Mozambique, and I didn't think of them. You were next to me, asleep like an ocean, and your dreams were playing shadows on the wall. We could have left, but I wanted so much for you to wake in something new. I wanted the first thing you saw in me to be hope. Autobiography on the Hudson. Everything is dying, but it will come back. I grew up in a cabin in the woods. I worry I've made you afraid that you will wander all your life. Let's start over from the beginning. I was born in a room with no windows. Water surrounded the island. I fell in love with seagulls and the sound of little waves leaving. My body bends toward sunlight. I am my own geography. What I mean when I say it's okay being alone? The moon lets me be a woman when the rest of the city is so hard. Everything in me is moving. Often when I wander, I am home.
Nice.
Out of the heart, the mouth. I studied poetry for 50 years until sex work became a viable option, and I started to see the beauty of suicide. Oracles for comfort, cigarettes for the hungry, orgies for inspiration. If you are cold, burn the house down. You might have thought I held an ocean before I opened my mouth. My silence might have been a meditation before I wrote anything down. I have been licked by too many poison tongues to not know acid. Somebody thought to catalog their nightmares, and now they play themselves back to us in our beds. Here then is a lullaby, a river that splits around an island. Once your mother kissed your forehead, held you like a treasure. You grew and put that forehead to the window when it rained. How cool the glass on your skin. I was shaping loaves of bread in flour. My father owned the bakery and the windows were full of sun. We met in a famine. We survived a war. We turned the earth and searched the ruins of castles until we were full. When we were hungry, we felt the hunger, or we shared what we had near the water. We learned to chop wood and old furniture when winter came. We were warm, and then we were warm through the night. You told me my tongue was the pen of a ready writer. You said I could turn this nightmare into any dream. It rained and the famine was too long. I wrote a garden full of fruit and flowers. You spoke and ships sailed in the clouds. November Chronicles. I am Hezekiah, king of Judah, sitting at a wooden table in Harlem, waiting my croissant from the oven, stirring the sugar in my cup, and the Lord was with me, and I went forth, and everything prospered under my hand. And the croissant arrived at the table, and the marmalade melted into the dough. I refilled my coffee, I added more cream, and I wept at the prospect of health restored to my bones. After death had knocked and knocked, I knelt over my pastry at the table and wept. I am Hezekiah, king of Judah, 25 years old, drying my tears next to the lady working on her statistics paper, blowing her nose while it rains. My men are writing down wise sayings of the future. I wait the return of Isaiah, thinking how can I repair the front door of the cafe, wondering who will take out the trash. My children were many. My heart knew the day of trouble had passed. I licked the sugar syrup from the spoon. I broke the marmalade-smeared croissant with my hands. I put it to my lips. Two more. My timer telling me two more. Creation story. I grew up in the bed of a truck, on a roof in Venice, and parents are for holding eggs on a spoon without touching shells. They must walk from hospital to first apartment. I saw myself holding on to privacy for love, drinking hot chocolate from a bottle, thinking of you with baby thoughts. Aren't we all alive for love? I eat touchingly the fruit, the meat, the dainties. Children are holding eggs on a spoon inside themselves as they grow, and it rains as much as it snows here. But the snow stacks up. It always feels more like forgetting that the ground is hard. Look at the stars. Look at those little dead kisses. My brother left in high school, and I became an orphan, favoring periwinkle. We are going to come to the most urgent question soon, the one we are all waiting for. But first, let me say, I write poetry because I am somebody's daughter, an orphan with an egg in the shower. I woke to pray in my sleep. There was only milk glow in the fridge. Do you know that I know what I mean? Toward the one pinprick of light I go, toward the one pinprick of light in the envelope, toward the face of you still blank as a hill under snow. There is not always twinkle, but one day I will take you to my secret memorial. If you fall in love, we will hold on to the rope that holds on to the bell tower. Do not ring until it is time. Of course God believes in me. I have watched him watching me open the refrigerator door for the light. The last one is a short one. Long after you left for Virginia, I plant tomatoes. I plant tomatoes. I do not cry. I plant tomatoes. Thanks so much.